Record. Hello and welcome to the LZ Sports Show. I am your host, Mr. Mark Adam, coming to you from the WPG Sports headquarters. I am normally joined by my partner in crime, Keith McKnight. He had previous engagements today, so we have made arrangements to have a very good friend of mine come in, a personal trainer at 9 rounds. This is Mr. D-Spades. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here.
I am glad to have you, obviously. I know it's strange to have you, especially in studio here.
Yeah.
Again, I make a big deal about social distancing all the time. He is on the other side of the room. We're quite separated. I couldn't even high-five him from here if I tried.
Here we go.
Yeah, high-five through the screen, I guess. But he's a passionate Winnipegger, sports fan, and obviously, like I said before, a personal trainer. So I'm very happy that he was able to join us today. Before we get rolling, I do want to remind you that you can follow us on all the social medias. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Do on YouTube like and subscribe. I always say it doesn't mean a lot to you, but it means a ton to us, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And when you click on that button, it makes me feel very, very good. Make sure to ring the bell, too, so you get those notifications. You know when we go live, when we put new content up there. Remember that YouTube page isn't just WPG, or isn't just the LZ Sports Show. It is the WPG Magazine's page. So there's free dance classes if you're into that. There's home concerts every so often. There's other shows like the WPG Wind Down. And, of course, there's us. WPG Sports and the LZ Sports Show. You can also find Jets highlights, and when the other leagues start, you'll find Bomber highlights and Valor FC and all that too. So do go ahead and follow us on all of those. I do want to point out real quick, you can call and have your opinion heard by calling the WPG Sports line at 431-800-4555. Or you can email the LZ at thewpg.ca if you're more of a person that gets their thoughts together on by typing. This is the first time I've actually had someone in studio, so I noticed there's some flickering going on with the cameras. We're just going to ignore that. Sounds good? Cool. Oh, yeah. Moving on. This is technology I haven't used yet, so I'm just happy it's working, to be honest. So we will be right back to get going and talk about the Winnipeg Jets game against the Leafs last night, right after this word from our sponsor. We'll be right back.
Make your house a better place to come home to with Aquatech Pool, Spa, and Bath. We've been delivering complete customer satisfaction for over 40 years. Whether it's a fully completed backyard escape, a completely renovated bathroom, or a premium upgrade on outdoor furniture, Aquatech is the only name you need to know. That's because if it's an Aquatech job, it's an Aquatech team working on it. No outsourcing, no subcontractors. We do it all. Visit our one-of-a-kind showroom today at 1065 Dugald Road. Aquatech Pool, Spa, and Bath. We create better places to come home to.
Welcome back, and thank you very much to our sponsor, Aquatech Pool, Spa, and Bath. They're very good to us, so we appreciate them greatly. We are going to jump right into it. Let's have a quick look at the highlights, because last night's game was a crazy game to watch. Everyone's sitting on the edge of their seat. Let's just jump right into it. First and foremost, Mr. Blake Wheeler's back in action after possibly being hurt. It was a game-time decision whether he'd play or not. Early in the first, Zach Hyman almost scores right here, causing trouble right away. He scored that controversial goal against the Jets in the previous game. Almost pots one right there. And you see Connor Hellebuyck making the stop on Austin Matthews that go round. Period ends 0-0. We all fly off to the second. Dermott here gets the puck at the point, floats one past Connor Hellebuyck. Just a tricky shot there, change of speed. Later in the period, Mason Appleton finds Adam Lowry up the middle, who finds Andrew Copp, who finds the back of the net. We have a tie game, 1-1. That's how the second would end. Off to the third period now, where it basically became a battle of the goaltenders. Campbell Hellebuyck showing what he can do. And at the other end, Jets steal the puck. And there's that one-timer that Jack Campbell absolutely stones the Jets on. Kyle Connor gets a wonderful opportunity here. And Jack Campbell stretches the leg out. Just gets there in time. I think Kyle Connor had a little more time than he thought. Doesn't matter. Ends in a tie. Overtime solves nothing. Off to the shootout. Jason Spezza scores. The Jets went 0 for 2. Scheifele needs to score to extend the shootout. He comes in, slows up, and misses the net. You can tell by his body language right here, not a happy guy. Jets fall. Technically 2-1, but it was a shootout loss for the Jets. They do maintain that record of not having lost back-to-back regulation games. That's weird. It's flickering back and forth between me and you. And it's getting the cameras confused. Anyway, who's got time for that? Ain't nobody got time for that.
Nobody got time for that.
Yeah. But how crazy is it that the Jets have only lost back-to-back regulation games once this year?
That's wild.
That is wild.
That's wild.
That's crazy, I think.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Yeah. So anyway, I really like the play. There was a player you chose that stuck out to you there, sir?
Yeah, definitely. I would, you know what, honestly, Campbell Hellebuyck, amazing. I can't believe it. He was there for the Jets. Just way to really like that game, just come step it up. And that third period, oh my gosh. I really, hats off to Campbell Hellebuyck on that one for sure.
Yeah, he was absolutely dominant, and as much as I would love to say Campbell Hellebuyck as well, for the sake of being different, I'm going to go with Andrew Copp. I thought Andrew Copp was everything to Jets last night. He scored the goal. That whole third line has been amazing as of late. So I mean, I could pick any one of those guys, but I do have to point out that Andrew Copp also on the penalty kill. Absolutely insane. On one penalty kill, he had 2 opportunities to score shorthanded. And I think when it comes to the penalty kill, he's the guy. He's the guy, and there's nobody on that team that's as good at just being in the right place at the right time, it seems. You know, he's not as fast as Ehlers or Connor or Appleton, but it doesn't matter because he's already where he needs to be. Copp he's just got this vision, and he's been getting better and better. So far this year, Andrew Copp has I wrote it down somewhere here. Hold on. He's got 28 points in 38 games.
Ooh.
Yeah,
oh, wow. Yeah,
which is a career best for him.
Yeah.
Actually, that ties his career best, to be technically true, which he did in the 2017-2018 season. Over the course of 82 games. He's done it in 38 games.
That's insane. Yeah,
that is a very big difference.
Yeah, he's definitely lighting it up for sure then. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's Mr. Statistics this year. And that game where he scored 4 goals probably helped him a lot, statistically speaking.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's having a career season, honestly.
Yeah.
So when it comes to the end of the year, Mr. Cheveldayoff, pay the man. Just saying. Scores the only goal on the day, and he just keeps performing game in, game out. And shout out to Blake Wheeler coming back. He left the last game and didn't come back, and it was questionable whether he played last night, and he ended up playing and being rather effective, I thought, even coming out on the overtime. Unfortunately, the overtime period, we saw the Jets go short-handed there, which, as Campbell Hellebuyck said post-game, it ruins the flow of what you got going on. And I really think they were controlling the play right up until that. So that was a little rough. Quick statistic for you that might blow your mind. I'm not sure if you're aware of Mr. D-Spades, but the Leafs are now, after last night's game, 0-26 on the power play over their last 10 games. Ooh. They have yet to score a power play goal on 26 attempts.
Really?
In 10 games.
Oh, that's not good.
That spells trouble, I think. That
spells a lot of trouble.
Yeah, they've got to sort that out. They have too many superstars not to be scoring on the power play. They're scoring a ton of goals 5-on-5. They're winning games by scoring 5-on-5. As in 2 nights ago, they beat the Jets 3-1, and every single one of their goals was 5-on-5. They had 5 power plays and got 0 goals. So that's an area that the Jets are struggling, and that's unfortunate for them. Kind of good for the Jets, though, considering we ended up with the tie. We did get the point out of that, so going 0-1-1 against the Leafs on this one. Over the course of the season, the Jets are 2-2-2 against the Leafs. The Leafs are 4-2-0 against the Jets. We're giving up too many points to those guys, but that also is why they sit in first place. Let's look at the stats from the game real quick. The shots on goal is crazy here. If you look at that, 38 shots by the Toronto Maple Leafs and 11 shots were blocked by the Jets, just for your record, and 32 shots by the Jets and 17 shots were actually blocked by the Maple Leafs. So that game was a lot more wide open than we are used to seeing in this division. I think that these guys have a lot of pace, and everybody's choosing to play a lot less physical generally. However, 38 hits from the Jets. That's big. They were all over the Maple Leafs. I thought a lot of that game belonged to the Jets. I don't think they deserved the goal they got when Dermott floated that one in. The Jets were outplaying them all over the ice, and they did outplay them for the rest of the game from that point on. They just couldn't solve Jack Campbell. So when we have a look at the actual score sheet here, Zach Campbell, 31 for 32, absolutely brilliant on the day. Connor Hellebuyck actually had a better save percentage because he faced more shots, let in just as many goals, but it didn't matter because at the end of the day, the shootout was the deciding factor, and those statistics are wrong. Dermott had a goal. Bogosian and Spezza each had 1 assist and 0 goals, and that was it for both sides. Copp scoring the only goal, as I mentioned earlier, from Lowry and Appleton. Next time that the Jets play will be April 5th in Ottawa. The schedule got a little muffed up this time around with the Vancouver games being postponed. What's your take on all this COVID stuff with hockey? How do you think players should be and teams should be protecting themselves?
Honestly, it's a little bit tougher. Me personally, it is a little bit harder watching some of the same teams go back and forth over and over. I'm somebody that I like how it just gets mixed up and whatnot. Obviously, there are a lot of challenges to that right now, but as long as everyone is doing their best to play their part, players stay safe, stay healthy. I like the idea of the bubble personally, so it's almost like playoff time. It's absolutely necessary, in my personal opinion. Really get these teams going, test everyone constantly, but just keep everyone safe and let's get an exciting game going on with the best we can make out of it.
Yeah, it's tough right now with all the and Vancouver's being ravaged. I think last I heard there was 8 cases in the Vancouver organization, and that's rough. And that's obviously why our 2 games Sunday and Tuesday were postponed. But the league, trying to do what they can to sort of balance the schedule out, they moved that May 7th game against Ottawa right up to Monday so that we can play that. Instead of playing back-to-back at the end of the year, they can spread that out a little bit, and they can have the Jets. I guess they want to keep the Jets busy. They don't want to give them a week off like the Vancouver Canucks had last month. I guess. So they move that game up, which I think is a good thing. It leaves them without that back-to-back to end the season, and it keeps them fresh. It gives them a couple of nights off. They get to play. They get a couple of nights off. I think that's going to be good for them. So Ottawa comes to town Monday night, which we weren't really expecting, so that's kind of nice. It is an early start for us Jets fans, finally. After all the late starts we've had to endure, a nice 6 o'clock kickoff, so to speak. I'm happy about that, and I really think that the Jets have a chance at making the playoffs. What do you think of this playoff picture right here, Drew? Toronto obviously sitting comfortably in first. Montreal only playing 33 games because of the number of postponements they had. So they're only having played 33 games, and they're trending very well right now. So points percentage wise, they sit in second, even though technically they're in 4th place. So what do you see here? Who do you think of these 7 teams? obviously you got to think Toronto makes the playoffs. You got to think Winnipeg makes the playoffs. You got to think Edmonton makes the playoffs. I think Montreal with 41 points is an absolute catchable team by the Vancouver Canucks if they keep playing the way that they've been playing. Mind you, this whole COVID thing could really mess with them both through their health and through the mental anguish of trying to figure out and not playing for so long and all that. Who do you think makes the playoffs of those bottom 4 teams, Montreal, Vancouver, Calgary, and Ottawa? Who do you think makes the playoffs?
Ooh, I would say, honestly, I'm thinking we got Vancouver or Montreal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Montreal, if they sort themselves out, they could make the playoff. They could stay in that playoff spot. Absolutely. But I think Vancouver is going to, I mean, based on the play that they had right up until all their postponements, they really are the team to me that says they want to make the playoffs. 6-3-1 in their last 10. And again, their 2 last losses were to the Jets. And it was a little rough. So they really played well in those games. They just couldn't get the wins. They ran into a really hot Winnipeg team. And as I keep saying, it's sort of the same thing that happened to the Jets when they ran into Ottawa there. And that was just unfortunate. Jack Campbell, the goaltender for Toronto, 8-0 on the season. He's got 8 wins. No losses. He doesn't even know what it means to lose this year. So he's playing some great hockey. And I is he the number 1 guy now in Toronto? Do you think that they replace Freddie Anderson now?
I definitely think so. Honestly, he's hot. That's a crazy, crazy stat with him right now. And honestly, you got to go with the hot hand. Especially they've been, disappointed in playoffs year after year, even with all these superstars. If you got to, hats off to Anderson. He's always been, one of my favorites. But, man, this kid is hot right now. You got to go with your hot hand.
True. I don't know. I think I go back to Freddie Anderson. I think he's the guy. You've put your trust in him all season, and he's out now. He's hurt, but he's going to be back. It was a minor injury, they say. So when he comes back, I think you got to play him, don't you? Like you just have to. You don't give the job away to a guy who, he'll play one night and then he needs a night off, sort of thing. He played back-to-back there against the Jets, but he doesn't generally do that much. And I don't know. I think you just got to give the job back to Freddie Anderson. I know 8-0 is an impressive thing, and the impulse there is to just go with the hot hand. But I don't know. A lot of experts are leaning both ways. Many saying the same as you, which is, let the kid play. He's 8-0. Let him go till he loses one. At least give him that experience or something.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think with him playing as well as he is, what do the Jets do? And speaking of the Leafs here. You are a self-professed Leafs fan.
Yeah.
Not to throw you to the wolves here.
Oh, yeah.
But how did that happen? Explain.
Basically, I really liked when those rookies, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, Billy, Nylander, came through. And I don't know, there's something about those kids. I just like them. And when they were able to keep all of them when renegotiating their contracts, I was like, wow, okay, all right. I love the way they all played in their rookie season. Keeping them on board afterwards, I was like, okay, this is a team to definitely watch. Unfortunately, come playoffs, it's still not really pulling through as much as I would like to, but I still kind of believe in that team, and that's how I kind of ended up becoming a Leafs fan.
That is, that's tragic, to be honest. I say that as a guy who, for my whole life, I've supported the Montreal Canadiens. So it's, there's that natural rivalry there.
Yeah.
And I did ask on the last episode, because I did a mini episode without Keith McKnight because he was away that day and we had some technical things that we needed to work out. So we did a mini episode where it was just myself. But I did ask, who do you support and why? Because Keith and I were talking at one point, and we were talking about teams that we support and how the Jets were gone for 15 years and
oh yeah,
sort of what happened here in Winnipeg when all that was going down. And Well, I'm obviously not from Winnipeg, as I've said before. I'm from the East Coast, and Montreal's the closest team to me, and I speak French, so the French thing didn't throw me off. And, the history there, and watching when I was a kid, Patrick Waugh was the man, and, it was a big thing. They had so many superstars. They got 24 Stanley Cups, more than anybody else. Yeah. How do you argue with that team, that legacy, that intensity? So that's why I was always a Montreal fan, even though my dad was a Leafs fan. Boo. And I think he still is to this day, I would think. But so I've heard it every year from all these Leafs fans, this is our year, this is our year. And this actually looks like it might be the Leafs' year if there was ever to be a year. And it's funny because it comes in this like asterisk of a season.
Oh, seriously. Eh?
That's, 56 games instead of 82, which plays to their advantage. They're young guys. So I think their core is young, but they have all these like wily vets around them now in Thornton and Spezza.
Yeah. That's the big thing. That's why I love the Leafs so much, because it's not even just about those rookies. It's like, the vets that they put around them too.
Yeah, they've got a thing going on, and if I weren't so biased against them in my heart, I could feel good for them. I would be excited for them to win. Yeah. But when you hear every year, oh, this is our year, and then but it's like the season hasn't started, man. What are you talking about? And then halfway through the season, they win the first 4 games, and then halfway through the season they're out of the playoffs. Yeah. And that's happened like more than it's not happened over the last 2 decades, basically. They went 9 straight years without making the playoffs one time, and I think they went 13 years without making the second round or something like that. Oof. Rough times. And I say that as a guy wearing a Winnipeg shirt, so I get it. Yeah. You don't have to explain the irony to me. I get it. But I just think it's the fan base there that follow blindly. And for so many years, I feel personally like the Toronto Maple Leafs organization just didn't care about winning. They didn't care. They have season tickets sold for the next 30 years. So money's not a problem. They're selling jerseys like mad. Yeah. The MLSE doesn't need the money at all. They're in a spot where they just don't need to win to be the richest franchise in professional sports in the world. Right. They just don't need to win. And so for years they just weren't trying to win. It was aggravating to the nth degree to watch people support this club who would and to your point, when you said they negotiated all their contracts, all these rookies, and they kept them all, and you were like, whoa, here we go. Yeah. Why was that a shock? Because every time they had talent come through, they would trade it away. They had awesome talent, and they would either ruin it by making them play in the AHL, or they would trade off. Like as soon as the guy was worth anything, they would just trade him because they don't want to pay anybody. They're making money hand over fist no matter who takes the ice. They got 6 janitors and the lunch lady out on the ice. It wouldn't matter. And that drove me nuts about the Maple Leafs forever. How the organization didn't want to win. And then everything changed when Brendan Shanahan went in to that front office. Everything changed.
Yes.
He gutted that place, got rid of all the old guard. And all of a sudden, now you're looking at a Maple Leaf squad that actually looks like they want to win. Yeah. They're developing talent. They're scouting better. Everything about that organization has been better since Brendan Shanahan took over.
Yes.
I don't even remember what year that was, but everything has been trending better every year since him. Yes. And that's given me hope because when the Toronto Maple Leafs are good, the league is better for it.
Exactly.
As much as I hate the Leafs, the league is better when they're good.
Yes.
I don't want them to win anything, but I want them to be competitive.
Yes.
Because, and honestly, the game of hockey revolves around them in Canada. If you watch any Sportsnet broadcast, it's Leafs this, Leafs that, other teams exist, but Leafs this, Leafs that. It's aggravating, and it has been for well, I'm 38, so it's been aggravating for 35 years because I've been able to understand it since I was 3 that the Leafs are they're the go-to, and everyone else is just they get the scraps as far as coverage is concerned, and that's just the way it is, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've just aggravated the crap out of me forever.
Yeah.
You know, hockey night in Toronto, basically.
So
So
Toronto.
yeah, and I miss those old guys, Gary Cole and Harry Neal. But they were very, very biased. And even when they were doing games that weren't the Leafs, which happened seldom, they would throw Leafs stats in there, and I'm just like, guys, this isn't a Leafs broadcast. Why are you here? You know? So it is what it is, but I just that's my little rant on why I can't ever cheer for Toronto. But this is the year. If you're a Toronto fan, you got to be excited. And my man here, D-Spades, he's excited. I know he is.
Definitely excited.
Yeah, and you know, I fell in love with the Jets when they came back. I loved that story. I mentioned it on the last episode. I'm very happy that they're back.
And don't get it twisted. I'm still a Jets fan.
Okay.
Let's make that clear. I am also still a big Jets fan.
So
over the Leafs too.
That was the other question I was asking people was, so that team you were supporting when the Jets weren't here, or like I asked, did you just stop watching hockey? Did you switch clubs? And if you switch clubs, when the Jets came back, did you switch back? Or are the Jets your second favorite? Or did the Jets take over and your other team is now your second favorite? Like, what's the deal? So you're saying Jets first.
Jets first.
Jets first.
When they weren't here, I was a Habs fan for sure. Montreal.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Montreal. Oh, yeah. Big Montreal fan for sure. I never really fully stopped, but once the Jets came back, then I kind of shifted towards the Jets.
Fair
cheer
enough.
for Montreal, but I wasn't like a diehard Montreal fan anymore.
Right. Fair enough. Since we're both actual Jets fans and our second teams are those other teams, Habs, Leafs, Habs, boo. So I would love to see the Habs make the playoffs. I think the way that they've been playing lately, they don't really deserve it. But then they had that bunch of postponed games, and now they're sort of coming back, and we'll see what shape they're in. But if they play like they were before all the postponements, I don't think they deserve the playoffs. I really don't. But we will see. So Wheeler was questionable. He ended up playing. Very happy there. Other divisional games last night. Calgary was up on Edmonton 2-1, and they blew it. They lost 3-2. That's a rough one to lose, but it happens. What are you going to do? Yeah. The Jets, again, as I said, in action on Monday, the 5th of April against Ottawa. And it was funny because yesterday I heard all the games were postponed, and I was like, oh, that's rough. And I thought for some reason I got confused, and I was like, wait, is this an April Fool's joke? And I had to check the calendar, and I'm like, no, it was the 2nd. We're good. We're good. You don't trust anything you see on the internet on April 1st, to be honest. But
exactly.
But it was a real thing, and so that's happening. And then after that, the Jets head on a 1-week road trip where they head off to Montreal, Ottawa, and then they see Toronto once before coming back home to face a whole bunch of games against Edmonton and Toronto. So they're away for 5 games after Ottawa on Monday. They're away for 5 games and they're back for 6. We are hoping that this month yields a lot of points like March did, but the way that this month has started, we're basically 0-1 in April. So not the best start, but not the worst start. We could have just lost in regulation, I suppose, and not won the point. But we got to figure out those Maple Leafs. They are destroying us this year. The only other thing I wanted to talk about real quick was the hot teams in the league, which right now I would have to throw Florida up there again. They've won their last 4. They're 6-4-0 in their last 10. So having won 4 straight, that's pretty impressive. Pittsburgh surging, 5 straight wins for them, 7-2-1 in their last 10. They're looking really good, especially at home. At home, they're 16-3-1. That is an insane, 8 of their 11 losses have come on, or 11 regulation losses, I should say, have come on the road. So they're really struggling as a road team. what are your thoughts? I asked Mr. Keith McKnight when he was here,
okay.
what are your thoughts on these empty stadiums? Do you think that really undercuts the home team home ice advantage, or do you think that home ice advantage is home ice advantage whether there's fans in the stands or not?
Absolutely undercuts the home ice advantage, in my personal opinion. It depends on the player, but for most athletes, you hear talk about it, and even for myself when I'm doing any kind of performance, anything, it is just something where when you are in that moment and you could hear the fans just yelling and pumping you up and everything, it gives that extra adrenaline. That's my personal opinion, and it just, I don't know, sometimes it just vibes better with how you play, and if things start the wheels start turning, things start going your way, you just feed off of it. You hear them yelling, you keep it going, let's get another goal, So without that being there, sure, you might be able to focus more, you might be able to hear the coaches a little more at certain times and stuff like that, but I think it takes away the home ice advantage.
That's a fair point. I would like to point out that Colorado, I pointed it out last time, but I'll point it out again. Super hot team right now, 8-0-2. 8-0-2 in their last 10. They haven't lost a game in their last 10. They're on a 3-game winning streak right now. And I said it last time, I'll say it again. If you had to pick a team outside of this division, not in the Canadian North, to win the Cup this year, I'm picking the Avalanche. Who you got?
You know what? I'm liking Florida right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I haven't seen them really make a noise in forever.
Yeah.
Kind of doing some hot things right now, and you know what? I'm gonna put my money on them.
You know what? I like it. I like it. That's a cool thing to say that Florida's good at something, because I think since their expansion they haven't been. But that's a lie. They've had some success in the past, but man, they're playing really good hockey this year. It's shocking for me to see them in the top 5 in the NHL.
Ooh, yeah.
I have them in 6th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I have them in 6th because I do it by points percentage. But they're 4th overall in the NHL based solely on points. They got 52 points on 37 games. Really good. Less than 20 games left for the Jets. The Jets have 18 games to be specific. So the playoffs are sneaking up on them really quickly.
Yep.
I want to talk about the lineups real quick before we go. Okay? Real quick. I think they should switch stuff up. And I know Paul Maurice is he's very much a if it ain't broke, don't fix it. He's that kind of guy.
Yeah.
He goes with what's working and he just sticks it out till it's not working. And he'll shuffle the lines when he has to.
Yeah.
But it got me thinking especially hard when there was a possibility that Wheeler wasn't going to play.
Yeah.
So it had me thinking extra hard, like, what do I want to see these lineups like? But with Wheeler in the lineup, that shakes me not, and I still want to talk about this is my ideal lineup. This is what I would like to see have happen, and I'm going to explain to you why. And you can tell me right afterwards if you think I'm full of crap or not. But I think Copp, Scheifele, and Ehlers. And here's the other thing. Because I know people's argument is going to be Kyle Connor on the third line. Are you nuts? He deserves to be like. Listen, forget 1, 2, 3, 4 for a second. If I moved these lines around, it wouldn't matter. Right? Those top 3 lines, basically, just flip them in whatever order you want. You got to get out of your head this. First is the best line. Second is the second best line. Like, get that out of your brain for half a second, okay?
Exactly.
Because any one of these 3 lines could take on any other team's first line, no problem, okay?
Exactly.
So hear me out. Andrew Copp, Scheifele, Ehlers. We saw it earlier in the season, the success they had, the chemistry they had, and I even wrote an article about how keeping that line together would be good. Or, well, not about that, but I mentioned in the article that keeping that line together would be good, especially for Nikolai Ehlers. But that second line now, Paul Stastny, Adam Lowry, Blake Wheeler. Why am I moving Dubois and Connor to the quote-unquote third line? Because I don't subscribe with this particular team. I don't subscribe to 1, 2, 3 being first, second, third best. I just don't. So forget that for a second. If I put Kyle Connor and Appleton and Pierre-Luc Dubois up at the top, people will be like, oh, Appleton on the first line, has he earned it? Forget that for a second. Just stop. Stop with that mentality. Think it through. from the point of view that it doesn't matter which of these lines. Call it the Scheifele line, the Lowry line, and the Dubois line.
Yeah.
All right, for the sake of this argument.
Yeah.
Pardon me. Pardon me. I'm talking so hard. I'm just gonna take a sip of tea before I die. There we go. There we go. All right. So Lowry, Wheeler, Stastny. I think Stastny Wheeler is a great combo. I know the eventual goal is to have Scheifele, Lowry, Dubois, and Stastny down the middle. I know that that's the eventual goal, but I really like the way that Paul Stastny is playing on the wing. He is absolutely money there. So I say leave him with Wheeler. They've got some things going that, like, their combinations. They almost scored a couple of goals last night between the two of them. Keep that together. Adam Lowry adds a little bit of grit to that line. And since there isn't like an overwhelming amount of speed from either of those wingers anyway, I think moving Dubois out of that line and putting Lowry there, I think that lets them do a lot more when they are in the offensive zone. I think that it lends them a little more workhorse, you know. I really think that adds a little bit of grit to that line. So that's what I would love to see. And then the other line, and not the third line, they're just in the third slot here on this screen, but for all intents and purposes, the Dubois line with Kyle Connor and Mason Appleton. Mason Appleton, the way he plays, he reminds me of Kyle Connor. And I really think if you put Kyle Connor with Kyle Connor, you got success there. So Appleton on one wing, Connor on the other, Dubois in the middle. I think you think that we have the best third line now, because I think we do. The best third line in the NHL? I really think so. You know, in Copp, Lowry, and Appleton. But I think you messed that and the only reason I would say not to change it up the way this way, the only reason I could see it is because that Copp, Lowry, Appleton line has been playing so well, and that's the one line that I would say maybe you don't want to break it up. But if it were me, and I'm looking at it straight from a like what the styles of hockey that these guys play, Appleton and Connor on the wing with Dubois in the middle, I think that's where you're going to really awaken Dubois. People have been complaining a little bit about Dubois and how he's been less than as productive as we need him to be, especially since we traded away Laine for him, you know? So I think Dubois with Appleton and Connor, I think that's money. And then the fourth line, I didn't even touch it. I really think they are super dependable. They are all out there working their butts off. Last night, there was one particular line, one particular shift for that fourth line. And it was 53 seconds. What period was that in? Oh, yeah, first period. So about 4-ish minutes left, 4.5 minutes left in the first period. That fourth line, 53 seconds and 9 shot attempts on one shift. They just pressured and pressured and pressured, and Toronto could not escape their own end. And that is something that you just can't buy in a fourth line. They have been playing amazing hockey. They've done everything that they've been asked to do by Coach Paul Maurice, and I really think that They just deserve to keep going. I hate calling them the fourth line because of that same logic I was talking about earlier. I think that Thompson line, absolutely dependable. You can roll them against anybody, and you don't have to be worried about getting scored on. They are responsible defensively, but when they do get a team pinned in their end, they are all over them. They're relentless, and I love it. So that's what I think that the lineups should look like. I'm going to throw this to you, Mr. D-Spades.
All right.
What do you think that we should be doing with the lines? Do you think that my lineups make sense? Do you think I'm full of crap? What do you think?
Well, this isn't like, it's not basketball, it's not football, it's not where, basketball you're running with like your same starters while the other guys just ride the bench. This is hockey. These lines are constantly just switching and everything like that. You do have to get out of the mentality that, first line is the best line. You want to play like, put your best combos together. They're going to be all switching up throughout the game anyways. So how can we take advantage and just make sure we can have the best offense coming through, tearing up the other goalies all day, right? So, yeah, I like your idea. I like the lineups that you have there and your opinion on it and everything.
Well, I appreciate that. I put a lot of thought into that. I didn't just whip that up because because I want it to be controversial. And I know that's controversial, both from putting Copp on the first line. You get people saying, he doesn't deserve to be on the first line yet, does he? Well, first of all, he's having a career season.
Yeah.
28 points in 38 games. He managed 28 points one other time in his career, and that was the 2017-2018 season over 82 games. So you're trying to tell me he hasn't earned it? He has nothing but earned it, in my opinion. But that isn't even the point. I really hate that first, second, third line mentality. Get that out of your brain because the Jets, they're too deep for that. They're too deep. Those three lines, it literally doesn't matter which one you call the first line. They're going to go out and do a first line's job.
Yes.
It doesn't matter which one of them you call the third line. If you ask them to, they'll go out and they'll play and do the third line's job.
Yes.
So why are people hung up on that? It's because traditionally that's how it's been done, and a lot of teams have to do that because they don't have the depth that the Jets have. Right. So with the Jets with the depth that the Jets have, you want to see them perform at their best, and I really think that combination of lines is what gets us there. Yeah. So, thank you so much, D-Spades, for joining me here.
Thanks for having me.
In the LZ, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll have you back another time, I'm sure. For sure. So, for Mr. D-Spades, I am Mark Adam. Thank you very much for joining us here in the LZ. I want to thank our sponsor, Aquatech Pool Spa and Bath. Relax. Aquatech's got it. They're wonderful to us. And for the LZ Sports Show, we will see you next time.